You're listening to Brick by Brick, a work boot's approach to your wealth, creating financial empowerment through independent, personalized, and authentic financial planning.
Finding my paper. Connor, of course, Connor Theofold, a certified financial planning professional and wealth advisors at LGH Wealth and co-host of the Brick by Brick podcast. And we're lucky to get him on the program on the regular. Connor, how you doing?
Al, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. It was, I probably should have sent you an email on this. I got a response to a post from I would say second level friend. You know, you got friends and then you know somebody through that person and they're on one of my social media things. And I had posted one of your, what do you call them, mini posts? You know, I know you do the podcast, but then you kind of do a mini post. It was one that you and I were on.
Or the reels, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, you posted one of those. And this second level friend, I don't know that I feel close enough to call her out, but she posted this thing about what the topic you were on, and it was, well, that's great if you have enough money to put towards retirement. And whatever tip it was. And I thought to myself, well, that's exactly the point. It doesn't necessarily take, you don't have to have $100,000 to start an account. It all starts at the beginning.
So a couple of things just immediately come to mind with that. So first of all, retirement is extremely different for everybody. There isn't some, people always ask, how much do I need for retirement, or how much can I spend in retirement? There isn't some magic bullet number. There isn't, hey, you're going to make this much, you're going to be able to spend this much. Most people's retirement is pretty close to what their lifestyle was when they were working. And a lot of the rules of thumb are set up to try and help you have the same lifestyle after you finish working. But I've worked with people who have millions of dollars saved for retirement, and their retirement plan is right on the border of not looking good, or maybe they need to do a little more work before it's going to work. And then I've worked with people that have comparatively very little money, and their retirement plan is perfect, and they're going to be able to live exactly the life they want. So, I will say too, I have worked with, and I'm currently working with a couple of folks that don't make much money in a common sense and are still putting money away. So it just depends on circumstance. It depends on what you mean by retirement. It depends on what you mean by not enough. Last week you and I talked about young folks who just started in careers and, I don't have enough to save in the 401k. Well, that's probably debatable. Starting with $50 is still something.
In the $50 thing, I think I shared this a few weeks back. My dad, folks got divorced. My dad, when he'd pick us up on Friday, we'd stop at the bank on our way to go to it was actually the bowling, Captain Jack's, for pizza. But anyway, I don't know why I remember Captain Jack's, but I throw it in the story. But we'd stop at the bank, and literally he'd drop his check off, and he put $50 in savings, and we put money in the savings. This is what we do. And he did that his whole flipping life. Right? I don't know if got paid every week, what it was. But my dad, when he got retired, had enough. He had enough. It wasn't rich or anything, but he could travel, do his thing. And it was because it was consistent. I guess that person who sent that on my Facebook, the game isn't you have to have $1,500 a month to put away. It isn't. You got to just start somewhere, right, to build that pattern. And that's what I thought was interesting.
A common behavioral coaching piece that we would, encourage, especially for someone who, maybe has never saved before, or had bad habits, or maybe they just start crawling out of credit card debt, whatever the circumstance might be. Once you get those higher priority things done, then it's okay. Let's start with $100 a month. Let's start with $50 a month. Let's start with $5 a month, because literally psychologically, if you start just a little bit, you're more likely to do more. And if you commit to yourself, hey, in 2 months, I'm going to raise that up to 20, 50, 100, 200. People do have more money in their budget than they think. There's a lot of good shows out there. One of them that I get a bit of a kick out of, I wowould say viewer discretion advised, is called Caleb Hammer on YouTube. And it's kind of the Dave Ramsey, but he's a millennial and he just screams at people for ordering DoorDash.
Oh, I've seen that guy.
So funny. And honestly, it's funny. I actually, Kyle on the podcast turned me on to him, and I listened to him for about 3 hours on the way up to deer camp this last fall. And by the time I was listening to him on the way back, I was in panic. Like I was going to go into credit card debt. Like my life was going to financially fall apart. Unfortunately, there's a lot more waste than people think. There's always a exception to the rule, but there's probably some money you can squeak out and save for your future.
Two things on that guy. Watch his language. If you don't watch it, because sometimes he'll just call you exactly what you need to be called. Yeah. Second thing is, I don't know that he has any credibility other than common sense. I don't know if he has a background in this stuff.
He is just a guy who went into debt young, and he's not that old. I don't even think he's 30 yet, and then kind of figured it out, and then through a lot of the kind of I guess maybe more mainstream financial education places. Yeah. He's not necessarily going to be your financial advisor, but he's very much a, what are you doing? You need a reality check. It's mostly kind of the stop going into debt, stop spending all this money. And everyone on that show goes on there and says, I just don't have enough money for food. Yeah. And then they have $3,000 a month for DoorDash, or one guy had $2,000 a month in Pokemon cards, and just... And you feel sad for folks, and they need to get some help. But I actually think that it's interesting to watch, and actually probably educational for some people to watch the show.
No, I think you're absolutely onto something there, and it is an interesting podcast. I have seen that one as well. But if you're going to take advice, other than stop wasting your money, I think people can find something to start with. I don't even know if they do this anymore. I recall when I was a youngster and just getting the world, Christmas was always a problem. Because Christmas came around and then you spent money you probably didn't have. Now you're in credit card debt and you had to pay it back. You spent half the year getting that paid off so you can get ready for next Christmas. And I remember one of my banks, wherever I banked at the time, I don't recall, started Christmas savings accounts. Where every paycheck you put, I think it was $10 a week. And at the end of obviously, you had $520 to spend at Christmas, and you went that backwards. And at that time, that was a lot of money, quite frankly. But it stopped me from going in debt the first Christmas, and I thought, this is genius. I'm not getting in the hole. I'm not panicked in January. I had cash, and it was the first time I think again, I don't saw my dad, but it's the first time I ever proactively said I can fix things, and it's small like that. It was $10 a month, and at the end of the year, or the week, I had $520. I was a rich man, Connor. That's a long time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we always talk about and on the podcast, one of the things we preach again is boring beats broke. This idea that if you just do the boring, consistent thing, build up the muscle memory, you're probably going to find yourself better off than, it's kind of the tortoise and the hare thing, right? The tortoise that does the boring, consistent thing over time is going to find themselves with progress, and sometimes the hare that chases the exciting or whatever doesn't necessarily work out for them.
All right, so asking for free financial advice from Connor right here. So to get people past that mode, I have nothing, is the first, I guess I'm using Dave Ramsey, have that, what do you call it, emergency fund, is maybe the first move for somebody who believes they have nothing, they can't find a way to get $1,000. I don't know if $1,000's not money anymore, my 500. Is there the first move to say, prove to yourself you can put $1,000 in a savings account, and then we'll talk? You know what I'm saying? Is maybe that the first step?
It is. Yeah, you don't need to worry about saving millions of dollars for retirement if you don't have $1,000 cash in the bank. And the reality is, a huge percentage of people don't have $1,000 in the bank. So you do need that. You need that so you don't go into credit card debt when the car goes out, when you twist your ankle, you got a doctor's visit or whatever. That would be step number one. And then there's kind of what we would call order of operations for where your next dollars go from an efficiency standpoint. And that changes a little bit depending on your circumstance.
All right. And one of that, I'll go to break, and then you can tell me on the other side, because I literally have my youngest who's just kind of getting off into the world now. And we were talking about this. I said, figure the number you can get by with, whatever that is. And then as you get raises, that percentage stays the same, right? Then all of a sudden, if let's say you're putting in 2%, that's all I can afford. Well, great. Your 2% gets larger as you get raises. Is that a good, is that just a way of saying you never see the money, you'll never miss it?
That's basically how something like a 401k works.
Okay. We'll talk more about that after this. I've got him, Connor, and Brick by Brick.
At LGH Wealth Management, our mission is to create financial empowerment through independent, personalized, and authentic financial planning. That means meeting you where you are and helping you get where you want to go. Whether you're a business owner planning for growth, succession, or a future sale, or a hardworking individual looking to get ahead, reduce stress, and tackle life's financial challenges, we're here to help. From retirement planning and investment management to tax-efficient strategies, estate planning, and risk management, LGH Wealth delivers comprehensive guidance you can trust. Call LGH Wealth Management today at 507-525-7324. That's 507-525-7324. Securities offered through J.W. Cole Financial Incorporated, JWC, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through J.W. Cole Advisors Incorporated, JWCA. Lubeck Geisler Ham Wealth Management Incorporated and JWC JWCA are unaffiliated entities.
Are you kidding me?
You know that comment you said to the radio? The thing that we got wrong?
Clearly, Brussels sprouts are the worst vegetable.
Call us and let the world know your thoughts. 855-257-7469. That's 855-ALS-SHOW.
And we've got him, Connor, from LGH, talking brick by brick. Just to wrap up that last thing, Connor, honestly, my son is a teacher, and they don't make a lot starting out. So
Sure.
we're trying to get to a point where, okay, what can you get by with, right? And here's what you can put in. He can either then, as steps go up, I don't know, every couple of years you make more money. It's just, it's the thing. I said, you can either then keep that percentage and you'll be putting more and more away. Or if you can get used to this salary here, as new money comes up, all of it goes into your retirement, right? I mean, my point is trying to get in his head, there's ways of skinning this cat. Yeah. And is that kind of what you guys do? I mean, again, you probably have people, there's a lot of ways of skinning this cat.
Yeah, definitely. I think the fun part about helping a young person, especially someone in their first job, get started is because they don't know anything yet. They're not used to living, well, most of them aren't used to living on tens of thousands of dollars or, you know, however many thousands of dollars a month. So going, hey, you're only going to get $2,800 this month instead of $3,000, we're putting $400 in the 401k doesn't feel like a big deal. Now, sometimes, there are circumstances that make that a little tougher. And then so you baby step into it, bite-sized pieces. And a lot of times for younger people, again, I'm not a rules of thumb guy, but if they can get to about 10% of their gross income before you're about 35, if you can do that much towards retirement, towards your future, you're probably on track to create a retirement that supports the lifestyle you currently have. So if that's a 3% match from work and you do 7%, I would say that's the goal you're kind of shooting for. Obviously, anything above that is great too.
All right. And we do this. We've been doing this because you came up with it, and I don't want with the last 4 minutes if we can. Financial fallacy February. The last one was overconfidence bias.
Yeah.
Okay, we must be on the other side of the coin here. I don't have enough money to put in. This is. I got everything I got at hand. What is overconfidence bias?
Well, today we released our third episode of the podcast, and we talk about a bunch of behavioral fallacies. And I think it's especially important today with everything going on in the world. There's a lot of fear in the news cycle right now with international things going on, and your behavior and how you act and how you react to the emotions you're feeling are super important. Overconfidence bias is, hey, I made an investment, I made a bet, I did something and it worked out. Wow, I must be really good at this. I talk about in an episode coming up that kind of the worst thing I see, the worst thing that can happen, believe it or not, is an investor, especially a younger one, hits a home run on their first investment ever, whether it's their Bitcoin or their precious metal or their fancy stock their friend told them about. If they hit a home run on the first one, they think they've got this thing figured out, and they build this overconfidence that the reality is just simply not that simple. So you have to be careful, and you need to ground yourself in what are realistic and logical situations. The other thing I would say is underconfidence bias. Just because something worked out, one, doesn't mean that risk that could have happened wasn't present. And then two, if something goes bad, that doesn't mean you can never invest again. That just means, hey, you got to get back on the bike and continue with the consistency.
Oh, that is okay. As you're talking, it hits me. I had a relative, cannot say it because they sometimes listen to the radio, literally found out, and this is years ago, and I don't know if this is allowed anymore, penny stocks. You know, those are penny stocks. And he calls me up. He goes, I invested, and it was like 35 cents. And he just went off on this thing. And within like 3 weeks, he'd quadrupled his $500 minimum. And I'm like, he couldn't talk enough about it. You got to get in this thing.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks later, evidently penny stocks can go to zero as well. I mean, it was like he was all there. And then for years, he never even wanted to talk about doing investing stuff because you can't trust it. He was in for, I didn't even know that existed. But my point being is, this goes both ways. You can be a superstar for a while, and then you're not.
A big one in the crypto world. I had a client that 2 times made 6 figures in crypto. Common guy, just ho-hum, single guy. Plugged a bunch of money into crypto he believed in and made a bunch of money. And then I'm talking to him and he's going, well, man, this could go over $1 million. He's like, this could triple. And I'm like, yeah, it could also go to zero. And he's like, yeah, that's true. And then unfortunately, before he made a decision, it didn't go to zero, but he did pull back quite a bit. That type of stuff happens though. I mean, it's so easy. This goes back to the ones we talked about, the herd mentality, following this herd, following this idea you keep hearing about, the recency bias. Well, it's gone up recently. It must continue to go up. Those are all these fallacies that we're trying to deconstruct as part of the show.
So, and I get that because on a personal level, we take the market personally, but isn't that exactly why you have an LGH, a Connor that says, I read it, I follow it, but I don't have the emotional investment in it so I can keep that ship going in the right direction? Is that kind of why you actually need a professional?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. One of the things we talk about in today's episode of Brick by Brick is having a confidant. It doesn't have to be of an advisor. You don't have to pay that person. Sometimes it's, obviously nice, and I believe in doing it, which is why I do it. But because you have the experience and you've seen the things and you have that emotional detachment because you do it every day. But having the dad, the uncle, the sister, the mom that you can go, hey, I think I might make this decision. What do you think? Just to get an emotional kind of check. And hopefully there's someone you trust. Hopefully there's someone that understands you enough to be able to check you if you're making an emotional decision versus a logical one.
Fair enough, Connor. Somebody wants to follow you Brick by Brick. How do they get that?
The Brick by Brick pod on YouTube is where you're going to find the program. We're also on various social medias, Instagram, LinkedIn, or you can shoot me an email, connor@lghwealth.com.
And be ready for a very laid-back conversation about wealth. It's you and Kyle, right?
Yeah.
Kyle sitting back, a cigar and a beverage.
Sitting in the bar with a cigar, chatting about finance, hopefully like everyday people.
It is really quite fun. Thank you, Connor. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Al. We'll see you next time.
It's Connor with Brick by Brick.
You've been listening to Brick by Brick, a work boots approach to your wealth, creating financial empowerment through independent, personalized, and authentic financial planning. The preceding program is sponsored by LGH Wealth Management, which is solely responsible for its content. Securities offered through JW Cole Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through J.W. Cole Advisors. LGH Wealth Management, J.W. Cole Financial, and J.W. Cole Advisors are unaffiliated entities. The opinions expressed by the advisors at LGH Wealth Management should not be construed as specific investment, legal, or tax advice. Annuity guarantees are based on the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and state agency limits. All economic and performance information is historical and not indicative of future results. Investing may involve the risk of loss of principal. Any tax advice on this show is not intended to be used by any person for the purpose of avoiding U.S. federal or state tax penalties that may be imposed on such person. Each listener should seek advice from their tax advisor or legal counsel on topics that arise from the show. The financial professionals at LGH Wealth Management are not providing legal or tax advice. Nothing should be construed as solicitation of an offer